even waiting right away, but you'll start seeing. So it looks like we're live now. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of wait for a few minutes and just give a little brief intro. So once I actually get this thing, uploaded, or it automatically uploads to YouTube, it's going to. So everything I'm saying right now is actually going to be on the live or on the YouTube video. But anyways, for those who are listening to this video, well, after the fact, I'll just give a little bit of an intro. This is Anna. I set up this interview because I was on kind of a DMT discussion forum, or it looks like I lost her. Hopefully she jumps back on. But anyways, well, she had an experience with DMT and some other hallucinogens, and honestly, I had an interest in how this actually worked, as far as how the brain responds. Like if it's anything like what do you call it, near-death experience. So near-death experiencers had like have a DMT flush, and Anna was pretty interested in near-death experiences as well. Hold on a second, I gotta text her real quick here. I don't see that anybody's showing up yet, so hopefully, okay. She's having a little tough technical difficulty. Okay. Maybe it's perfectly fine just waiting for a minute, because nobody is on the live chat yet. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Oh, here we are.
Here I am.
Anna's back. Hey.
Sorry.
Hey, it's all good. Honestly, we're kind of getting off to a slow start, but it just kind of, whenever I go live, people get notifications sent to their whatever. Sometimes people don't even see the notifications, and they just don't know. But as we're,
as soon as you said
what's that?
I ran out of minutes. Like I ran out of data as soon as you said I'm going live. So I switched over to my Wi-Fi, but I don't know how much I have left on that either.
Oh, really?
Hopefully we'll make it through. Oh my God. I have no idea.
Oh, sweet. Well, that's all right.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, hopefully the internet doesn't suck, because it's kind of choppy and grainy. So hopefully it's not a problem, but it's okay though. So as people start trickling in, we can just kind of get started, so that those who are listening on the after, the post-production or whatever time, they can just kind of hear your story as we're going here. So anyways, I was introducing you. You're Anna. We met through kind of this discussion group that was talking about DMT. I think this guy actually posted something, and I wanted him to reach out to me, but it was a super popular video, and anyways, I think you found me through that. I think I left my email on there, and you reached out, and I appreciate you reaching out, by the way, because I want to hear your story. So she was able to have a few DMT experiences. I don't know, few or one, I forget.
A few.
Honestly, this is kind of new. I didn't really get a chance to go over all the details, so I'm going to kind of be discovering as everybody else is discovering here.
Right.
So, all right, Anna, I'll go ahead and give you a chance, and hopefully the internet doesn't give you any issues. But go ahead.
Oh my God, that
I'll
would
give
be
you.
crazy.
Well, whatever. I mean, it is what it is.
I mean,
So
never run out of or data. I never run out of data. Ever.
yeah. So go ahead and kind of just give a background as to what you went through. Like you were saying something about like your life kind of sucked. You were feeling like suicidal or whatever. I want to kind of hear the backstory, what led up to it too. So go ahead and
What led me up to like actually doing it, like
yes.
okay, well, I stumbled across it somehow. Well, my son had told me about it, but I let that go in one ear and out the other. He's a teenager, and I started stumbling across YouTube, and I got really interested, listening to their story. Like, what are these people seeing? Are they really seeing entities? Basically communicating with entities? And so I just started educating myself and, watching all the videos about it, reading all about it. And I was, I heard that it was, and
Anna, I hate to stop you, but we're having some issues. It's kind of technical difficulties. I can't hardly hear what you're saying as far as it's kind of choppy. So I'm hoping that like buffering or something catches up here.
Oh, all right, hold on. Let's see. Choppy. Is that better?
Yeah. Are you? So you're connected to your modem?
Yeah, I'm hotspot.
Oh,
it's like a little device.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Okay. I hear you a little bit better. Go ahead and keep talking.
Okay. Well, anyway, so it came to me, and do you want to hear about the first time I did it? That was pretty profound.
Yeah, go ahead and start explaining. Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, I see it going choppy. Hang on. I can't bring it closer to me. Anyway, so, all right. So I was like, suicidal. Every day I thought about something, leaving this earth. And when I did this, I haven't thought about it since, but it was the most beautiful thing I had ever experienced in my life. And I'm a mother, so I didn't think anything could be as beautiful, as giving life. But this was.
Yeah.
And the first hit I took, it was instant ecstasy, just bliss all over. And I looked at the walls, and there was this like a pattern. It was a pattern that was connected by the same pattern over and over and over again, like a chain. And it connected everything. And then I looked down at my skin, and it was on my skin. It was on everything. And it wasn't like a layer. It was like literally on everything. Like it didn't layer on top of it. It was just connecting everything. And like if I went and looked deeper into it, it became like what do you call it whenever you go deeper and deeper into something and it keeps, I can't think of the name of it. It's not a fractal, but it keeps getting, it goes on for infinity. That's what it was. It went on for infinity. But it looked like a coating, like a coating, like
Is it like we're in a simulated reality type thing? And
yeah, it was like that.
Interesting, like the Matrix or something.
Yeah, but it connected everything. And then it was beautiful though. And then all of a sudden everything lined up, like dimension upon dimension. Like if you're standing and you have a mirror on one side and a mirror on the other side, and you look to your right or you look to your left and it goes on forever, that's what I saw, layer after layer after layer, dimensions.
That's really weird.
And then all of a sudden, like this dimension just started melting away, like paint, like wet paint. And then, I took a couple more hits and then I laid back, and that's whenever I started, I guess, ego death is what people call it. I don't want to say that because I was still very aware that I was human. Well, not at first. At first, it's like the body was like an anchor. Like I didn't understand it because I was becoming pure consciousness, and I didn't understand what was this. It was so heavy. It was just like it didn't belong, right? And then I said,
Hmm.
okay, just let go. I had a feeling I just needed to let go, and I just closed my eyes, and all of a sudden, colors, patterns, just the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my life. And there were no right angles. Everything was soft edges, everything. And you know how
Hmm.
people say in near death experiences they see like so many colors, like colors that we don't have here. It's not necessarily that, it was just so many of them. We could never see that many of them here on this planet at one time like that. I mean, there's so many of them. And
Yeah. So Anna, there's a couple
yeah,
people here that are listening, and just to kind of give them, just let them know exactly what it is we're doing. We're trying to contrast. I always talk about near-death experiences, and I kind of saw a little bit of a tie-in with DMT. And as you're explaining these things, you're kind of talking about near-death experiences, and you've done a lot of research and just listening to other people's experiences, and so you've kind of seen the relation yourself. In other words,
absolutely. Well, that's what drawn me to DMT was that,
yeah,
because people were saying they were seeing entities. I wanted to know what they were seeing. If I thought that maybe it could get me one step closer to see what they're seeing in NDs. Actually, is what I was hoping
yeah.
for. But
It felt like you were still in your body, though. You didn't feel like you're out of your body or anything like that.
I felt the connection, and in a way that was a good thing because it kept me alive. If
Yeah,
there wasn't that, then I could have easily let go. You know,
yeah.
so it was good that that was, you know, but I didn't
Did you
understand it.
did
As
you
pure
feel like you were on
consciousness.
that? Yeah, that's it's really. I'm very intrigued by this. This is just like it
Yeah.
kind of makes me. I'm curious, but at the same time, I don't really desire to, because I've always heard like you're vulnerable if you're in a vulnerable state, and if there are some sort of like entities on the other side. Uh, it kind of reminds me of the what's that movie called, or the show? It's like a series where they have the Upside Down or something like that. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's on
Well,
Netflix. What's it
I think
called?
it's kind of like what's in your head and what's in your heart is what you're going to see. Kind of like if you have
Yeah,
a hellacious near-death experience or you have a heavenly near-death experience.
it's
Like,
interesting that you say that, because
yeah.
there are some people that like Eben Alexander will actually say that people have hell experiences because they had a hell life, that they were, yeah, Stranger Things, exactly. Dark
Yeah.
Glasses Woody.
Yeah.
Um, he reminded me of what that
Yeah.
movie or show's called. Yeah, Stranger Things actually, like when they flipped into the other realm or whatever, or the upside down,
Yeah.
uh, like somehow whatever was on the other side was drawn to them, and like it would attack them or whatever. And that's exactly what I think about when somebody's in an experience like this. It's
Right.
like, what if you're vulnerable and they end up like uh, possessing you or something like that, and it just kind of flips me out in that sense.
Well, I don't know. It's so beautiful. I don't know how anyone could have a bad experience. And actually, the DMT entities, they're going to let you see what you're supposed to see and
So you don't
what
think
you're
there's
ready
anything
for.
malevolent on the other side, such as like
Oh
demonic?
yeah, absolutely.
So Woody's asking, what method did you use to smoke it?
I have like a little, like I actually have it right here, but I can't show it. It's like a little glass
Like a
burner.
pipe or a bong or something?
No, it looks like a scientists use like a beaker almost, and then it has like
Mhm.
a thing that comes out of it that looks like a meth pipe almost.
Mm.
Yeah, and then you put it in the bowl and then you light the bowl. But there's other ways. Like I've always wanted to do it in like a vape pen, like something like that, but I haven't done
Yeah,
it yet.
yeah. I don't know if they've made those for vapes yet.
They do. They have them.
Really, DMT?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, that's so weird.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, so you were seeing this pattern all over the place. It kind of it does remind you of the Matrix, like where when Neo like flexes his muscles and like at the end where when I don't know if you've ever seen the Matrix, but
Yeah, long time ago.
yeah, well, like he freaking realized that he has control over the realm that he was in by realizing that he was the one or something like that.
Yeah.
So he ended up killing the Smith. But I just think it's interesting because you start seeing like the Matrix, things going through all the walls and stuff.
Well,
And
no, it's not the Matrix thing. It's like this pattern that was like, it was like this, and then it had like little ones that connected it on like, I don't know how to explain it. It was just it was a beautiful pattern. It was absolutely beautiful. And then when I looked down at my skin, I was like, oh my God, it's on my skin too. It's like what? It was like on everything. And like
what was the pattern like? Was it like
I should have did a drawing, but
lines or something like that?
no, it
Okay.
was like a little. It was almost like this. Like I can't. Like everything's backwards right now, like a mirror. It was almost like a what is that? Like a. It was. Remember, there were no rough angles. There were no right angles. Nothing was rough. So everything was. So it's hard to explain. I don't know. Maybe I can do a
Yeah.
drawing one day and show you. But
I'm actually going to pull up some pictures and see if I can find something
I
that's
had
almost close to what
found
you're saying.
something before that was similar to it. I was watching this movie with a shaman, and he all of a sudden started seeing this pattern everywhere. I took pictures of it, screenshots, but it was the same pattern. Yeah. Okay.
This is kind of let's see if I can.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that. That's the typical DMT thing.
Yeah. I see pictures like that all the time. Like, so you watched that video that I did on near-death experiences, and then Mike Tyson at the end was talking about his DMT experience.
Yeah.
So the way that he made it sound is like he thought he basically was dead. Like he thought he was like on the other side and he left his body or something like that.
Yeah.
And the people that I have heard explain their experience, they don't really have any relation to their body as much. Kind of makes me wonder if you just like go all out, you just completely are so gone that you just don't realize your body's there anymore or something.
Well,
like the
I
ego death or whatever.
Yeah, I can see where other people might, but I mean, I'm so like I've done so much research on spiritual stuff that I think I was in the right place at at the right time. So I was kind of prepared um as far as like wisdom goes, knowledge goes. So I kept, but I mean, I immediately didn't as a pure consciousness, everything was like a VR, like I was like floating in this black space. And I didn't understand the body, like didn't feel natural, and the state of pure consciousness, it doesn't feel natural. But
Yeah.
I was able to communicate with myself. I knew I was there, so it was a healthy thing because it kept me alive. Because if I didn't have this anchor, I would have gone forever. But let me tell you,
Yeah.
so the coolest thing though, like I was all of a sudden I was in front of, like, I was in this black space that went on forever and ever. And like in near death experiences, they can see 360, like all the way around them.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I was still in my body, I wasn't able to see behind me, but I could see, in front of me and on the sides of me. And this black space went on forever. And then all of a sudden, this thing, and I've heard of people try to describe this before, it was like there was no like reference to size. So it was humongous. I knew it was humongous, but it was this thing that just started like morphing into, it was just like doing this thing. And it was like, it was made out of like an organic mechanical substance. Like to me, it felt like the mind of God. That's what it felt like to me. Like I was looking at the mind of God, and it had cogwheels. It had cogwheels, but it was organic. And like I said, no right angles. So everything was perfect.
So when you say it's organic, it was like a creature of some kind, like a
I mean, I literally felt
like related to an animal or plant or something?
no, I felt like, to me, I I was looking at the mind of God. That's what it looked like. Like it was like the hard drive of everything, like the universe, like consciousness.
Gosh, I don't know if you're familiar with like Ezekiel's wheel or
Yeah.
Ezekiel, like
Yeah.
the Bible. It
Yes,
talks
like
about
that.
his vision.
Yes.
Yeah, it's talking about this like weird like thing that's like up in the heavens or whatever, and it has like eyes all over it, and it's like
Yes.
it's like it has four heads, and honestly, it resembled the. It almost sounded like a DMT trip, to be honest with
Yeah. Now that you put it that way, it does. Yeah. But then I
Yeah.
was like, okay, well, I want to see everything. I want to know that I was having a conversation with it had a male tone to it, and it was the most clearest communication I had ever heard from anything. It was like, you know how like you can hear like every clear word? Well, this was like every letter was clear. I don't even know how to explain that. It was just the most, like, I could hear myself talking to me in my head, but then there was an entity communicating with me in the most perfect English. It was English communication. Like everything was so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I really felt like I was talking.
So you're talking to God, basically.
I don't. I mean, I could have been. It could have been my guide. It could have been, my spirit guide. It could have been anything. But whatever it wasn't of this realm. I know that. That was the first. This was the first time I did it. But
So you had more than one time you've done it.
yeah,
How many times? Like a lot, or
I think about 8.
8 times?
Yeah.
Did you have? So that was the first experience. Did you have any other experiences that were similar or different, or
They're
how
all
did the other
different.
ones?
They were all different. Well, then I was like, okay, let me finish this one. I was
Sure.
like, okay, show me everything. I want to see everything because I didn't think I'd ever do it again. And he's like, okay, you want to see everything? And then all of a sudden I was in this space. Like that thing in front of me was gone. And then I was in this space that was like the universe, I guess, but it was smaller. And there were these points of light everywhere. And I knew that they were conscious. They were like conveyor belts of points of light. They went up and they went across and they went down. And then all of a sudden, I just boom, went through the Big Bang, and I went through the formations of galaxies and formations of, solar systems. And then I saw this little blue planet, and then I zoomed in and I went into it. And then all of a sudden, I just started seeing cavemen, and but it was like on reels of film. It was like reels of film, and they were stacked on top of each other. And that just went on and on and on until all of a sudden it ended with this lady walking a dog on a sidewalk. And then I went out. I started coming out of it.
Was that what is that? Was that a hallucination of the woman walking the dog, or?
No, it was today. It was time today. It was today's time.
Oh, so it was an actual woman walking a dog.
Walking a dog down.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's
so
how
fun.
yeah. That's how the first one ended. But
So, what was your sense of time? Did you feel like time was non-existent, or did you feel like
time was not linear. It was all on top of each other.
so like 360-degree time or something like that?
No, it was past, future, and present all on one top, all on the same. It was everything.
And that, I've heard people say like, the 360-degree vision and stuff like that. Like, how can you convey that in this realm that we're in here? It's like we don't have any perception of that. So, like, to try to explain, have you ever seen that movie Interstellar?
Oh yeah.
Was it anything like that when he was in that construct where he ended up going into the black hole? He transcended time and he was able to communicate with his daughter or whatever.
It was kind of like that. I think that the reels of film maybe was kind of giving me a perspective of time because they were stacked on top of each other, but it was going through time. It's so weird. Like it's so hard to explain a DMT or an NDE. It's just, it's not, we don't have the human language.
That's why I'm saying that, like Howard Storm said, that it's ineffable. Everybody
Yeah.
always says ineffable because it's like that's the word that they use across like most near death experiencers. Just
Oh,
they don't know how to explain it in human language because
no.
it's not meant to be, you know, explained from that perspective, I guess. Because it's something so transcendent and so beyond
Right.
human capacity. So anyways, but I'm still intrigued because everything that people do explain, it just sounds very similar. Now,
Yeah.
your did you ever interact with any people or beings of any kind
Okay, so
in a coherent way,
well, besides the mind communication that I was telling you about earlier, but I
like a
didn't,
telepathy or something?
yeah, but I
Okay.
didn't, the last time I did it is when I saw the beings and
Hmm.
the most beautiful, it's hard for
You
me
saw
not
an
to,
angel or something?
oh my God, it's so hard not to get emotional. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. I appreciate that actually.
Okay, every time I try to tell this story, I get emotional. So I went through the whole DMT thing where like all the fractals and the colors and the so intense. It's so intense. Oh my God. And it just goes by so fast and it's too much information. And I went through all that, but at the very end, everything kind of just started to slow down. It started
Hmm.
slowing down for me. And then all of a sudden, like the space that I was in became this bright, soft, brilliant white light.
Hmm.
And then I started to feel like there were beings coming closer to me on each side of me and maybe behind me, but I still couldn't see behind me. And I realized that it wasn't the space that I was in giving off this effect, it was the beings. And then I had one on each side of me, and they were like extraterrestrial, like light beings of like technology that we could never understand, like way beyond our what we are. I mean, it's like I felt like they were angels because they were so loving. They loved me so much.
Do they
They picked
resemble?
me up.
Do they resemble like some sort of aliens?
I could see where people would think they were. Yeah, they could be, but not like the green, big-eyed black,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the
like I
gray
never
aliens or
seen.
something.
Yeah, nothing like that. We've seen movies with this type of being, like they glow from within, glow out, and but don't they communicate telepathically, but they were
Hmm.
so full of love. Like that's what they wanted me to know, and this is what changed me forever. They picked me up and they started cradling me like gently, like a baby, like loving, like I love you, Michelle. And then this third being was walking closer and closer and closer to me till it was right in front of me. Sorry. And I just wanted so bad to see is this Jesus because I knew that it was like a father figure to the two that were holding me and loving me. And but I couldn't tell. I couldn't see Jesus. You know, I couldn't see a beard. I couldn't see hair. It was the light was too bright.
Yeah.
But when it was this like right up to me, I stared at the eyes and I just saw like the shape of them and to see like in order to see the shape of them, I had to get it's like a liquid blue fire, white light that I had to
Huh.
see through. And I could tell that just by looking at the eyes that there was love and compassion for me. And when it got right to me and touched me, it was the most profound thing I've ever experienced in my life. It was just love like you'll never know it here. It's like
Wow.
a
That's so much like a near-death
force.
experience. I can't believe it.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
And I felt so lucky. Like, wow, you're really letting me feel this. And it was like a force. It was like I can't even explain it. It was like a bliss, joy, like a love of a parent and a child, but times trillion. I mean, like, you can't. We will never see it. We will never see it or feel it here ever. And we all merged
Wow.
together. We merged together, and I wasn't aware of me in this physical dimension. I was only aware of what was going on at that time consciously, and
Yeah.
it was just so overwhelming, and I was so grateful and so thankful that they allowed me to feel this, because that's the one thing I always was curious about. What does that feel like when I hear these near death experiencers talk about that? What does that feel like? The love of God. Well, I get to feel it, and it changed everything about me. But it told me, it said, Michelle, now that you know, my middle name's Michelle, I go by that.
Yeah.
Now that you know, go tell everyone. Well, it said, I'm sorry. It said, now that you know, go tell anyone who will listen, and go show. Wait, go show. I'm sorry, I'm emotional. Go show
No. It's,
anyone. Go show everyone you can, and tell anyone who will listen. And he didn't say my name. He said, go tell. Go show and go tell. Basically, now that you know, I'm letting you know, so you'll go tell people.
so you're not sure if you had an interaction with Jesus, but you felt like it could have been
Yeah, absolutely. It had to be God. It had to be something like that,
some
Christ-like.
extension of God, or some human extension of God, or some figure that looked like human
I don't
that
want to
was an
say it was.
extension of God.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it was Jesus because I didn't see that, but sure felt like it.
Yeah. So, hmm, gosh, that's like pretty intense. And this was the first time that you had an experience,
No, this
or
was the
was this?
last time.
This is the last time. Okay.
And
Are
I
those the
didn't.
two that stand out the most to you as far as?
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't want to. I didn't want to ever. I didn't want to do it again after that. That was pretty profound.
How long ago did you have that happen? The last time.
About a year ago. 1 year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously, it's very transformative. These DMT experiences that you had.
Absolutely.
Now, mind you, anybody that's listening to this, DMT is a naturally occurring chemical in your brain. And I believe that it is related to near-death experiences because our brain flushes out DMT when you're dying.
You said something the other day, Charlie. You said it like an eject button. That's kind of what.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's what it is. Like, it helps you
Yeah,
guide you to
DMT
the.
reminds me of like you're pushing the eject button, or maybe
Yeah.
it's like whatever holds the soul to the body.
Right.
Like it just unlocks, and now you're free to go to
Right.
wherever your experience will take you, I guess.
Absolutely.
Now, granted, I'm going to let you know right now that I am investigating all angles of this, and I'm not that guy that jumps in headfirst to anything because I want to make sure I understand the ins and outs before I'm vested into something. Now, when it comes to DMT, I fully believe that it's related to near-death experiences. Now, the question is if near-death experiences are, I always kind of bring up like, how are they authoritative, or are they authoritative? Like, freaking Howard Storm says he not only met Jesus, but Jesus held him in his arms, and he was blubbering on, like crying on Jesus, and it's like,
I left that part out because that was pretty profound too. Because when I started coming out of it, I realized I was in a fetal position and I was crying like a baby, and I was repeating over and over again, "Thank you so much, thank you so much." That's all I could say was, "Thank you so much, thank you so much." Yeah, so I can relate to what he said.
yeah. And for those of you who don't know, these experiences usually last about 15 minutes or so. But they seem like a lifetime to many, and I don't know if that's truth for you.
Like
But
I said, it's time's irrelevant. It's all stacked on top of each other, basically, is what it felt like.
wow, that's so crazy. And again, I'm not trying to advocate to anybody that's listening that you should go out and do DMT necessarily. I mean, I'm just
No.
saying that maybe you have to be mentally prepared or whatever. I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say like you have to have like a guide of some kind that will help you. Like there's some people in like Peru or something or Mexico. There's some shaman or something that that will help guide you through them. And honestly, I'm open-minded to a lot of this stuff, but again, I've kind of taken the position where I'm a little concerned about the malevolent nature of spirit beings, and I'm talking about demons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I didn't experience anything like that, and I've done it about 8 times, but I didn't see them.
Yeah.
I did see like the cats that people talk about, or the little elves, like the jesters, but they were like on film, like on reels of film stacked on top of each other. It's like I was seeing dimensions. It's like I was seeing the dimensions. So there must be dimensions with cats, because what your mind, like I've never seen like that thing that I saw, like Ezekiel's will with the cogwheel.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that. There would be nothing that I've ever come across in my entire life to make my brain see that. Like I was not conditioned to see that. None of this. It's just crazy. Like that's strange. That's a strange part for me. It's like what we're seeing, our minds cannot make up this crap. Can't make it up.
Yeah. So you have done other hallucinogens, right? Like LSD or whatever. I mean, how do those relate as far as?
Well, mushrooms I've done. That's nasty. It's now that you can see malevolent things like
Malevolent.
Like yeah. Acid. I was 16, but I remember it did change my life as well. But like I saw the life in like the leaves. I could see like the light in the life. Like I could tell everything was alive, conscious. But there's nothing is like DMT. There's nothing like it.
Yeah. So again, I'm very intrigued by it, and everybody that I've heard actually come back and just tell their story, say it's transformative.
Absolutely.
And the same thing when I hear people talk about near-death experiences, they're transformative. So so you were, just for those who are showing up, I want you to kind of reiterate, you were at a place of despair before you ever tried to get into this, and now your life is pretty transformed, right?
Well, my mind and heart is. My life still sucks, but I mean, I'll never. I mean, I felt the love of God is what I feel like I felt. So I could never be depressed or anything like that again. Like, I'll never be that. I'll never be that same person again that I was 15 minutes before that, ever.
Huh. So weird.
No.
Yeah. I mean, just kind of a overview. I kind of start by saying, like, I have started looking into a lot of this stuff and feel like the more I learn, the less I know. And
yeah.
and obviously it's not because I'm not learning, or something. It's more that I realize that the bigger picture is so vast that nobody should draw conclusions with the reality that we're in, because obviously I almost feel like we're programmed in some way, like as people, like we're not supposed to know more than what our body or our mind is supposed to reveal
we
to
wouldn't
us.
be able to get on with life. Absolutely not. And if everybody knew the love of God, like what I felt, there would be, if we felt that every day, we could not live like this life at all. We couldn't be humans. We would be so entranced, in joy and bliss. Like there's a reason. This is a filter, right? It's a filter.
Yeah, so we're here for a reason. I get a lot of people saying, yeah, we're here because, like, say, for instance, near-death experiences is almost like people say, we're supposed to have an experience so that we can ascend to a higher level of consciousness or something like that. And, I kind of get that from a DMT experience also. But again, there's all these implications to knowing the truth or not, in my view. like I grew up in the Christian church, and everybody always said you have to believe in Jesus or you're going to hell or whatever. And it's like, I don't know, like if it's really that cut and dry. I feel like Jesus is just another filter of understanding reality as well. Um, and hold on, I'm looking at this comment here. Did you make any changes in your life on the back of the experience, Anna? Can you see that comment, by the way?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Well, I love myself more, right? I don't take everything so seriously anymore. Like, I know that there's something else, and I know that I'm here to. I guess what I got out of it was, first of all, God and all of heaven loves us very much,
Mm-hmm.
and um, and if He loves me that much, then I should love myself that much. And I feel like, in heaven, this is my belief. Everything's perfect, right? Everything's good. Love, love, love. That's why we come here to experience heartbreak, to experience the opposite of love, because that's not something that we can get there. And so it made me look at people. I love everybody. I just love everything now a lot more, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't take it as seriously as I used to, right? And
Yeah.
I don't want to say this. I hear a lot lately that people are trying to say that near death experiences are a product of DMT, and I don't believe that at all. And I mean, you're not going to see your dead grandma, right, when you do DMT. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I don't really know. I mean, I'm just curious as to how. I almost feel like maybe DMT is just a stepping stone. Like you can't really go to the fullness of what you would see in a near death experience. And in some ways, I actually feel like near death experiences are more coherent as well, to some
Yeah.
degree. I mean, I feel like people have a more vast, understanding of what it was incrementally. But then again, it's like nobody ever, like Howard Storm also says, like the eternal now. So it's not like time. So everything kind of happens at once.
Yeah.
And like the way you explained, like how time kind of stacks up 360 degrees or something like that. I forget exactly how you said it, but
Well, it's not linear. Like, it's the past, present, and future all in one. It's not linear.
yeah, so weird. So, anyways, I'm trying to think of is there any near death experiences that stick out to you that you feel you could relate to as far as like your experience versus their near death experience?
Well, I guess I've well, absolutely. When they feel the love of God,
Yes.
when they merge with Him, I guess I had a somewhat of a merge with that. I with Source. I just call it God. I don't know what else to call it. Source.
Yeah.
Um, but I was. They did tell me that love is everything, and that everything is made of love, and
Mhm.
without it, there would be nothing. I was given that knowledge. You know, whether it's real or not, I don't know, but it sure felt real to me.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in a place of despair going into it, and then you learn about how loving this source is,
Yeah.
yeah, it's so weird. Like I look at God like just people's interpretation of what they have experienced, and a lot of people don't know how to explain God, right, from a human level. And every time I talk, I hear an echo, and it's really starting to bug me.
I'm sorry.
Anyways, I'm very
I don't hear
distracted.
it.
I don't know why it's echoing on my end, but anyways, whatever. Okay, so, but yeah, is there? I almost want to like. Okay, so the other experiences that you had, you kind of explained two of them, and you had different experiences every time, but it was pretty much the same type of thing. Like there was a template or something. Or
No, no, it was different every time, and it was beautiful every time. But I try to do it like in different dosages. Like, I do a lot, and you go into what they call ego death, or
Mhm.
do a little bit. What do you see? Wanted to see what that was like. That was pretty cool. But I feel like you don't want to use that as a drug. You can't. It's so disrespectful to do that because it's a, it's uh, it's the gateway to heaven, really, to me, and that is disrespectful to use it in any other way. But I did want to see, and what I did see in everything was that as soon as you do it, this dimension melts away. People see it in
Mhm.
different ways, but it melts away, and then dimensions stack on top of each other, like I said, with the two mirrors. You look to your right, look to your left, goes on forever. It's like that.
Mhm.
It's like dimension,
Oh,
dimension,
Lord.
dimension stacks up on top of each other. That is present in everyone. Oh, and something else that was pretty cool. You know how you'll hear, I guess, some people with DMT, maybe some NDEs too. They find themselves in this space they've been there so familiar, like they've been there a million times. Well,
Mhm.
when I'm blasting off, like right before I blast off each time, this is also the same. I find myself in like this wormhole, and it doesn't last very long. It's like a black wormhole with like, it's so hard to explain, with like a blue neon light coming through, lines that are like cross pattern on each other, and it's like got a corridor. It's like a wormhole, and then
Mhm.
that space is the most familiar space to me. Like, oh my god, I've been here, a million times, and then all of a sudden I'll blast through. Like you're on a roller coaster, right? You're sitting there waiting
Mhm.
for it to go, and then you just blast through. But that space right there, that wormhole type of space, I know I've been there before, and it's so weird
It's
because I've never
familiar.
been there. Yeah, yeah, it's
That's
super.
weird. Like, gosh, that's so reminiscent of near-death experiences. I mean, it sounds like you're going through a tunnel or something, and you're going up
Yeah.
to the light or something, or this wormhole. I mean, it's something familiar about it. It's like you're having a recollection of something. I hear all the time, like we're in some. Oh, Steven says that it's echoing, and I'm trying to figure out how to avoid the echo.
I wonder if it's just
So
too
weird.
loud. Let me see.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Oh, it wasn't echoing. Maybe I'm just like too loud.
That's what I
Can you
was thinking. Was it me too loud or you too loud?
can you guys hear it echoing anymore? Oh, I hear it echoing. Anyways, can you
Echoing
hear
is
me
correct.
okay right here?
Me.
Gosh, I'm like, thanks, Steven, by the way. I'll
Yeah.
try. I'll try to. I don't know how to overcome this. There was. I was on Gypsy Road live stream yesterday, and they had the same issue. And I don't know if it's a StreamYard thing, which is the you know the
The
uh,
website.
the website we're using. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's
Um.
they're saying it's good now, so I'll just keep rolling.
Awesome.
We can just keep rolling. So, anyways, as long as you can hear me okay, I'm kind of getting off the mic a little bit because it seems like it's feeding back or something. Um,
Look, there's this guy, and I knew my mind was gonna go blank when I went live, but I don't know. He was like a surfer guy. He had a near-death experience. He has blonde
mhm.
hair. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah,
He
Ian
was like,
McCormick,
yeah, him.
Australian guy.
You know how he was talking
Yeah,
about the wave after wave after wave of love that he felt? It's kind of
yeah.
like that. Yeah, that's kind of what it was like. Yeah,
Wow, that's freaking crazy.
yeah. I love
Um,
his story.
yeah, Ian McCormick was one of my favorites early on. I
Yeah.
actually, and I was kind of explaining this to these guys yesterday. A lot of these people kind of approach it from like a new agey perspective, and I don't say that derogatory new agey because in a lot of ways, I mean, they're seeing through a different lens of understanding, and maybe they're explaining the same thing with different language. And
Right.
I don't want to just dismiss what they're saying as being wrong, because a lot of people are like saying, okay, energy chakras and stuff, and like karma and all these different things that are Eastern philosophies, and I don't understand it through a Christian lens. So it's like, maybe I just need to understand it a little differently from their perspective. So that's why I like to kind of go down the rabbit hole and research everything so that I can understand, because I believe that God isn't necessarily, the Christian umbrella. You know what I'm saying? I think God is, he loves everybody, like you're saying. So God is the God of everybody. So I don't think that because I'm a Christian, that makes me any more qualified. And to be honest with you, the identity doesn't necessarily mean anything. I feel like it just how I was raised. It's my culture. And now I'm starting to feel like there's other things out there that help me understand things differently, and it helps, maybe clarifies things more clear. So I always fall back on this discussion too. It's like the implications of what we know, of being true or false. Like, I'm a seeker of truth. My channel is called 4BZ Truth, and I desire to have, I desire to seek truth through different avenues as far as I can, so like from your perspective, I don't know if you have any religious background at all, but I'm actually kind of curious about that as well. And by the way, Stephen says thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
So, anyways, what's your religious background? I'm just curious.
Oh boy, I was raised in the Catholic missions, like literally raised with nuns and priests. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful religion, and it's got its downfalls, but every religion, and you can put New Age in that, everything's got its truth, and it's, and it's nothing's perfect, right?
Yeah.
But that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to learn as much as we can from, and there's truth in each one. So just, it doesn't hurt to look at every perspective and see what you can relate to, or
Yeah. I try, I go ahead. I want to hear
my
what you have
dad's
to
a
say.
preacher. Yeah, I was actually, I didn't really believe anything. I hated going to church. I went because my friends did, or my dad made me. But I was, I went through this very hard time in my life when I was in my 20s. And um, I went through some spiritual things that I can't explain. And they were all confirmed, And so because of those experiences, that's what made me go and seek avenues like DMT, right? Because I knew from what I had experienced and the confirmation that I had received that there is more than this. And it's not necessarily what I was brought up to believe, but but it's something, something.
Yeah, I believe, I kind of look at it through like the perspective that you have two pies. The first pie is the pie of truth, and then the second is the pie of deception, or lies, or falsity, or whatever you want to call it. Now, truth is really, nobody has all of the truth. So, like, if I'm coming at it from a perspective, like a Christian perspective, I have a slice of the pie, and I feel like I've talked about this with like all of the guests that I have on here. But I feel like if people are in agreement with me on this thought process, I feel like that's more legitimate. You're more legitimate if you are willing to admit that nobody has all of the truth,
Right.
but at the same time, you have to admit that you have some sort of false perspective as well.
Right.
So, and when I say false perspective, I mean, you can look at it like a deception. Somebody gave you the wrong information at some point. So now I feel like there's implications of knowing the truth or not. So
there is.
Now, so why not? Why doesn't everybody try to seek out truth and find out if what they believe is true or not? Maybe that guy Joey that I talked to a while back on Gypsy Road, he said that if you had an experience like a trauma, that might have contributed to why you are so driven to understand truth. That's what he said to me. He said, I believe that maybe when you were attacked by a dog when you were 5, that might have actually been resulted in your death. So that was a near-death experience, even though you didn't really have to be resuscitated. You lost a lot of blood, whatever.
Right.
But it was an experience that was trauma. Now, I don't know if you ever went through anything like that,
Yeah.
but it sounds to me like maybe you're very interested in learning about the deeper issues of the reality that we're in.
Absolutely. I want to know the truth because I've my experiences, and and I think of them as gifts because that's what they are. They're gifts. Not everyone has those, right? And
Yeah,
I wish they could, because and that's the implication for me is knowing some of these things. It's hard for me to relate to people. Like I could talk about this for the rest of my life all day long every day. But
yeah,
most people, you bring something like this up and they're like deer in headlights, right? They don't know what to say. So that's kind of an implication for me. I but I don't care. At this point in my life, I don't care. I want to know more. Um, I had some things when I was younger, like I could see auras and lights, and I found it to be very distracting and very weird. And I pushed it down and pushed it away till it went away because I couldn't live like that. I couldn't in my human experience. So I can
mm-hmm.
see where that would, people, they're so caught up in this world, and it's hard when you know things that you feel like maybe you shouldn't know, to
Yeah.
live a normal life. I guess
You know, when
normal,
you
whatever normal
say
is.
when you say that people are caught up in this world, honestly, I will agree with you to the fullest extreme on that, because this whole thing that's happening with like the coronavirus and all that, I feel like people are so scared, and it's like
Sad.
I think in a lot of ways, I believe, and again, you may or may disagree with me on this, but I feel like there's a level of control that the government wants to have over us, and they're going to find a way
Absolutely.
to. The government was never set up to control us. The government was set up to manage our,
Manage
whatever
us.
we're trying to get done or whatever. And the people were the ones that were supposed to have the power. So,
Yep.
this whole thing, like Idaho mandated that we're supposed to stay indoors unless we have an essential job. So, and it's not really, they say it's a mandate, but they don't,
Yeah.
they're not enforcing anything yet. But I get the feeling that they're going to start enforcing eventually. And this is going to turn into martial law across the country once coronavirus starts spreading everywhere. And it's like,
I think the people that are scared, I'm scared of the people that are scared that's gonna turn it into
yeah,
martial law. I don't think the government could do it because there's too many people with too many guns. But
uh,
I just
yeah,
don't,
you're in
I
the
don't,
South, so I'm sure you get
yeah. Absolutely.
it. Hey, by
Absolutely.
the way, I want to point out this comment that Woody said. I don't have the truth, or we don't have the truth, but we have an instrument for perceiving its direction.
That's
Now, this
beautiful.
is exactly what I've been trying to say all the time, is
Yeah,
that
that's
you
beautiful.
have, so like I'm wearing glasses. We see more clearly through our lenses of interpretation. So I always refer to you have to kind of see things through the correct filter in order to understand it on the clearest level you can perceive it. So, like, say, for instance, like philosophy, the word philosophy, people, like Plato and Aristotle and all these guys back in the ancient times were always talking about like philosophy. And,
Yeah.
I think they realized that you have to view reality through a certain filter in order to understand its meaning or its true meaning. And you start seeing little patterns of like ancient writings and stuff like that, where they start hiding like meaning in like parables and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
That's beautiful.
And
I love it.
yeah, and it's
People love
weird
that.
because like you start seeing like this deeper level understanding that you have to dig for. and we're supposed to dig. We're supposed to dig.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people will not dig because they're just consumed with their life, or they're consumed with deception, in my opinion, because
that's not a good thing. But I was going to say it's kind of a good thing that they're grounded in this world, because that's actually what we're supposed to be. You know, we're supposed to live. We're not supposed to know too much, because if we did, we couldn't live. That's the whole reason we're here, to experience a human experience, a very short human experience. So, you know, it's okay. It's okay to be engaged in that. It's not for everyone to know the truth, you know.
yeah, I
That's just
mean,
my idea of it.
that could be true, but I think that if you kind of look at like a lot of what these philosophies are projecting out there, like say for instance Christianity, it's and I'm only speaking from my own world perspective, because I feel like, I'm trying to test my foundation, to be honest with you, because I want to, because anything that that you test should hold up to scrutiny if it is the truth.
Yeah.
So I want to hold it to the fire. I want to see if it will, come out the other side more pure, like gold. You know how gold, when you refine gold in fire, it burns away the impurities. I always use that analogy, because it's like you have to burn it in order to, have pure gold. So that is the reality that I'm trying to understand, is that if I believe something, it has to be tested. And I think everybody should test it, whatever
absolutely.
perspective that they have. So, this is a comment that I kind of have been pointing out, is that there's malevolence that exists at the federal level, and not just at federal level. It's malevolent as far as the spiritual level, as far as I can tell. And there's things that we can't always trust, and I don't want to be Mr. Skeptic all the time, but I mean, I'm just going to assume that things need to be proven to me beyond a shadow of a doubt before I can fully be vested into something.
Right.
So, but again, I look for patterns, and that's kind of my biggest thing lately, is trying to see the patterns in everything. I see that there's patterns, or the signature of God in reality. So, everything that I can see, there's a pattern of creation. We are created beings. I don't know to what degree we were created. I mean, I don't know if our spirits always existed, or like reincarnation or whatever. But whatever we see here now has patterns of creation, as far as I can tell. So
Absolutely.
now this whole substance of DMT kind of makes me wonder if it was intended for us to experience at some point. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think so, because I think that the entities that we do encounter on DMT are excited to see us, and you get the sense that they've been waiting for you. Like they knew, like I said, time is all one. Like they knew you were coming at this time.
Yeah.
And so and I hear this a lot in stories too, like they're excited and they can't wait to show you all this. And so, yeah, I think I think that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, being that it's timeless, I mean, they always know that, like, when it's going to happen or something. So,
and they're excited that you're here. They're like, oh, wow, we've been waiting on you. Here we go. Let me show you. We only have 15 minutes, but here, like they know, they want, it's like they want you to know, but at the same time, it, it's not for everybody, right? Everybody should know. Not everybody should know. I mean, this world would be different. It wouldn't be Earth. It wouldn't be a human experience.
Yeah.
But maybe one day it is supposed to be like that, but right now it's not. And I think, as far as the government goes, I don't think that everybody in the government is bad, but I think that a lot of them have agendas, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they see opportunities with what's going on now, but not everybody's bad. Not everybody.
Yeah, forgive me for coming across. I don't actually. I mean, I try not to. I actually, I have done a lot of research about like false flag attacks and stuff like that. I think that there's people out there that are trying to promote an agenda, and whatever means they can use to implement it, they'll do it. And I'm not gonna. I agree with you that not everybody in the government's bad. But anyways, that's kind of beside the point. I'm just really just hoping to point out that there is malevolence, and I say malevolence like there's something that is evil behind certain things, and I don't really understand the fullness of what that actually is or what that looks like, but I can see patterns of it. So my big thing is patterns. So again, when it comes to like all these people having hell experiences, near-death experiences, and they'll come back and say it's absolutely true. I don't care what everybody else is saying. There's a hell or whatever. And but then the next guy says, no, there's not a hell. That's just their own hell that they're experiencing their own hell that they.
Yeah. And I don't know where I read this. I've read it more than once, or seen it, or heard of it. It's not just one time, but that humans made, and I'm sure in a near-death experience somewhere I heard this. Humans actually made the realm of hell. Like that's our thought. Well, not necessarily
like
humans. There could be other beings on different planets that also think negatively, but that God didn't create that, right? That wasn't a creation of God. That was a creation of our minds.
Do you think that we're like? I mean, there's a lot of people that come back from near-death experiences saying we are an extension of God, and we are God.
Absolutely.
Basically, like experiencing through this body. And,
absolutely.
Okay.
But I feel like we're all attributes of Him. And I say Him. It's not a Him. It's a source.
It's spirit
a
energy or something.
Of energy, love, and consciousness. And then when they separate and they come and this is like a playground. The universe is a playground to learn and create, and it's just attributes, it's pieces. And then I feel like I've read this before too, that when we die, we go back to source. And that's why it's so heartbreaking for God or whatever to lose that soul to a lower dimension, as what we call hell, because that's like a part of you missing, like an arm missing, or an organ missing. It's part of everything. I believe that, and I saw that in my DMT experience, when I saw the points of light consciousness, from that thing that I was seeing like this, then explode into that. That's kind of what I saw. And then I saw it all go and live throughout the universe.
Oh, interesting. So what he asks are basically is pointing out that it's a respectful position to recognize the last experience was enough. Do you think that you'll ever do it again?
Yeah, I'm kind of scared, because there's this thing I have where I don't know if I'm breathing, and I came across another person who had an experience like that. I can't tell if I'm breathing, and so like I have to have this constant conversation with myself while I'm tripping about
keep breathing.
Yeah, don't forget to breathe. But then something tells me your body's natural on its own; it's mechanical. But I don't know that, so that's a little scary for me. That's why it's very important to have a sitter, somebody there with you, preferably one that can do CPR.
They're like, breathe, wake up. Yeah.
So
that's
I think I will. I didn't want to. I respect that comment he just made, because I didn't want to. I can't think of the word. Like, I just wanted to leave it at that. It was just so beautiful and profound. What more could you get out of it, really? But I think I do want to try it again, eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so like I'm in a weird position here because I'm so I don't know if you know, in fact I've been trying to share this with everybody because I think it's so profound. I'm starting to think that I have like intuition, like in my dreams, like I see the future or something. And now I've been getting a residual, like little things just here and there where ever since I was younger, actually, I would have these dreams, and then like all of a sudden I realized, like in this moment of like deja vu or something, I start seeing like the dream that I was having. Like, wait, I
A lot of
remember
us
this
can relate to that.
exact. Yeah, I remember seeing this exact situation, and then I start talking about it. I'm like, I had a dream about this or whatever, and well, anyways, I had something even more profound because I was able to corroborate it, and that is my wife in my dream had a positive pregnancy test. So it's like, so I'm like, I mean, I don't know if I have like legitimate like prophetic dreams necessarily, um, but I'm going to tell my wife to take a pregnancy test. So I wake up the next morning and I'm like, hey, honey, you should take a pregnancy test. And anyways, she ended up not taking it right away, but then the next day she took it and she was like, holy shit, she was like freaking out.
Congratulations.
And
Oh,
yeah,
that's so awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's everybody's. Yeah, I get the same response from everybody, like congratulations.
Yeah.
But really the implications is so great to me because it really just points out that I had some sort of insight somehow from God or from whatever entities on the other side or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was my higher self that was communicating to me.
Yeah. I think
You
we're all
know?
capable of that. Just, some are more open to it than others. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't really know how to interpret that other than I received an insight from God. That's just the way I've been looking at it. So and I have these vivid dreams every once in a while. Like I think that maybe there's something to this dream, but I don't know how to interpret it. And I think that somehow dreams are like a little bit of a crossover too, where you kind of see the other realm or somehow receive an insight from the other realm.
Yeah.
Sometimes dreams are so weird and like just off the wall, like it's almost like you're having some sort of trip in a dream.
Well, you are releasing DMT. Yeah, and then it's so interesting because the third eye, that when your eyes close, they're all made up the same way, like physically. They have lenses. The third eye has a lens, like everything that the eyes have, the third eye has, right? So when these close and this releases DMT, this eye opens. So I find all that very interesting. So you're seeing all that with your third eye, which and you'll have a whole life in your dream, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so weird. Like
it's so neat. I love it. So interesting.
Yeah, like I like to talk about like the pineal gland because I believe that that's what the ancient Egyptians talked about as being like the higher level third eye or whatever. And obviously the Eastern philosophies, Eastern religions and stuff talk a lot about the third eye and having a higher level understanding from this. And I think that I don't know if it's necessarily the Egyptians that discovered this, but a lot of people. I don't know if you've seen the picture, the eye. You know what I'm talking about?
Live horse, yeah.
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 I think that they say that actually is really just a representation of the all-seeing. Well, the all-seeing eye was basically our third eye, right?
Right. Well,
and it's not just
Yeah, they even knew all about that, like back then, like as far as like the way it was set up, just like our eyes when they did the art.
Yeah, it's the same shape and everything. I want to show the listeners. I'm going to look up a picture of it. What's it called? The Eye of Horus?
Let's see. HORACE, I think.
Eye of Horus. Yeah, because it's. I'm going to say.
The ancients, they had a connection to this, to the universe, the source, the plant, the nature that we don't have. We've lost, right? There's something they had that we've lost.
Here, I'm going to show a picture of this real quick here.
It makes a cool tattoo. I know that.
See if I can get a good angle on this here. See if I can take the glare out of here.
I can't see it. It's too bright.
Hold on. Here, let me just turn off this lamp and see if.
No, it's not it either.
Come on. Hold on. Let me see if I can.
Oh, no.
Sorry, my images are not coming up very well here.
Yeah. And that's so cool, like that picture with God coming out of it, of that thing right there that looks like the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And like God's reaching out to man on sitting on a cloud. I don't know who drew that. Da Vinci? I have no idea. Some ancient.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. They use it in Ancient Aliens. I've seen it in Ancient Aliens.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think that they were figuring things out, the ancients. I think that the ancient people had a lot of knowledge that we don't have this today. I mean, there's obviously they built all these structures that we, and I recently heard somebody say that they were actually, like say the pyramids or something. They weren't actual stones that were moved, that they had some sort of like concrete type technology where they can form all the stones in place. And I'm not so opposed to that, because I just feel like, I don't know how anybody could have possibly moved stones like that up a hill, no less.
Yeah, that's so crazy. That's one thing I can't wait to find out about when I die. I want to know all about it. I feel like I'll find out a lot of stuff when I die.
Oh yeah, somebody, or I don't. This person says at the Sistine Chapel, there's the painting.
That painting.
Yeah.
Who painted that though? I don't know.
Michelangelo.
Okay, there you go. I should know that. Jeez.
Yeah. So no, I totally agree. So, gosh, for anybody listening, I mean, obviously, when you tap into these things that are really just not within our capacity to not only interpret in a way that makes sense on a human level, but it's also, sometimes it's more intense than our capacity has to, figure out like how to interpret the intensity of it. But more often than not, people come back from these experiences transformed and changed in some way. In your case, Anna, you actually got to experience this love that was like the love of God. And that is extremely interesting to me, and it's very compelling. No, I don't want to say just run out to your nearest dealer and go ahead and give it a try. Because
like I said, they know what you're ready for, and apparently I was ready for that, and I believe I was too. I wasn't expecting it at all. I never thought that would happen, but I'm very grateful that it did. I wish everyone could feel it.
Yeah. By the way, I didn't tell you, but my friend Eric was actually going to be on the live stream also, but he had something come up actually. I believe he had somebody close that he lost. I'm not sure exactly all the ins and outs of it, but they had to. I don't know if they're doing any preparations of any kind, or maybe just grieving. I'm not sure, but
Was it the virus, or you don't know?
I don't know if it had anything to do with that, actually. I'm sure he'll let me know.
What state is he in, just out of curiosity?
He's in Seattle,
Oh, not a good state to
Washington.
be in right now with that.
Yeah, it's actually, there's a bunch of people over there that have, and in fact, Idaho was very, like, the lowest on the list. We didn't even have one reported case until about 2 weeks ago. Now we have like 100 and something. So
more people, yeah. Well,
yeah, maybe
Mardi
that.
Gras down here, I tell you what.
Yeah, I've never been to Mardi Gras, but I'm sure
now
it's.
you know what you're not missing.
Dang it! I should have gotten coronavirus over there.
No, not worth it. It's crazy.
Yeah, has anybody in the chat ever had an experience like? Have you ever tried any kind of hallucinogen or anything like that? I'm just curious. Let's see. My last experience was the only time I've ever seen another being.
You too. What was your being like? Your being.
Yeah, can you go into details about that? If you want, I'll give you a link, and then you can jump on if you want to kind of talk about it on the video portion of this, because I can have up to 6 people on here. So let me see if I can share. Let's see. So I'm gonna just in case anybody wants to jump on, I'll give you an opportunity to ask questions here or whatever, or share your experience, or let's see if I can get it here.
I have 2 questions for him though, or her. How many times did you try it? And of course, what was your being like? What did it look like? What was it like? Did it have love?
Yeah. Have you talked to anybody that had
I have. I know 2 people. One of them had the same experience with the white light and being with God and everything, but it didn't change that person. But that person was also very young, probably too young to experience something like that and to make sense of it. And then another one had similar experiences. He was an atheist before he did it, and he still doesn't consider himself an atheist, but he's not a Christian. He knows there's something, but he's still very, technical in his mind instead of spiritual. He's
this
on
is where
now, actually.
Oh yeah. They said it was a male, short hair, cut, blonde, silent, and staring at me from the corner of the room.
I love it.
For the duration of the experience.
And that was it. I love it. Like, who is? Where's that come from?
This reminds me of the Matrix too. Mescaline is the only way to fly.
I haven't tried that one. I won't.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, some of these things, like, okay, so my dad did a lot of acid when he was younger, and honestly, my dad has a roommate now. He's kind of like autistic almost, like in some ways, because he doesn't identify to people on a level that is I don't know. He has trouble like connecting with people, and now he's very. In fact, I'm going to actually have an interview with my dad on this live stream within the next probably 2 or 3 weeks. But he's very smart. He has like this awesome ability to gather information, but he just struggles with connecting with people on a personal level. Yeah. Like it's almost like he's talking to a wall. He never really, interacts with somebody on a personal level.
Yeah, that's how my roommate
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and I
now. Yeah, I mean there's social issues that like autistic people have, or like Asperger's and stuff like that. But the point I'm trying to make is that my dad did some acid when he was younger, And he, this whole thing about like astral projection or leaving your body, and there's people that say you can't really fully come back to your body fully intact, I guess, in certain cases, like you almost, like a part of your brain dies or something.
Who says that?
No, that's just the way I'm kind of interpreting what, like my dad's roommate, actually, because my dad's not married anymore, but he has a roommate, and he basically said that he doesn't think my dad fully returned when he came back from a trip once. I mean, he, don't get me wrong. I mean, he's easy to talk to. I mean, that I get kind of my eccentric, the eccentric side of me, from my dad, because he started looking into a lot of this stuff far before I ever did, and honestly, I very much respect his position on a lot of things. But he's very religious, and he wrote like 5 books, and he's like, I don't know, he talks a lot about. Yeah.
What kind of books did he write?
Well, he has a series that he's writing called The End Time Overcomers. Oh. And he believes that we're entering into the Great Tribulation right now. And to some degree, I think that there's something to that. But I don't necessarily think of it as like the same, like, like actual, like some of it's symbolic, and it never fully, turns out the same exact way that the Bible reflects or, conveys it, I guess you could say. So a lot of people don't understand what the Bible's actually saying, and then they...
most people don't.
yeah, I agree. So let's see.
I wanted to ask you, you said some of your family members had a near-death experience. Mm-hmm. When they came back, did they have any kind of like psychic abilities or anything like that?
Psychic, I mean, so my mom had the most intense experience. She actually had a problem with her adrenal, or her kidneys failing. Mm-hmm. And her body, I don't know, she had a heart attack in the process of adrenal failure, which is so weird. I don't know how they were related. They were related, but she ended up being resuscitated at the hospital, and so she coded. Her heart stopped, and they restarted her, and she was on like a ventilation and everything. And I actually, I remember the first time I saw her in the hospital, like with a ventilator, I started crying because I didn't know how to take it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but then she was a smoker and stuff, and like had like a bunch of like mucus and phlegm and stuff that was building up in her lungs. So like when the ventilator was breathing for her, you could hear it like gurgling inside her lungs. It was sad.
I was talking about.
But I don't know if it was just kind of a pneumonia type thing, or. But anyway, she came back. Never fully told me the full story, but she did tell me that she felt like there was demons that were trying to shove things into her mouth. And anyways, but then she went on to see my uncle, grandma, and other family members that had died. Yeah, that had died. She never actually ran into Jesus or anybody else that was like that. She just saw family members and like goblins.
Profound enough, yeah, and goblins.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what she saw, but she was kind of.
Yeah. She
didn't go into all the details, but she did say that she saw my uncle and my grandma.
Yeah.
And
well, that's pretty profound.
But that kind of messed with me at that time, because I thought that my grandma and my uncle both were not living for God in any way whatsoever when they died. They completely rejected God. So I don't know if that is an indication that God does love everybody and he brings everybody back home.
Absolutely.
But I don't look at any near-death experience like an authoritative perspective anymore. Like Ian McCormick, for instance, I used to look at his like an authoritative perspective because
I love his story though.
Yeah. And the reason I say it's not authoritative is because everybody has so many different perspectives, and it's like, well, which one's true? I mean, I almost feel like near-death experiences are for the individual. So your experience was for you, and it helped you transform whatever situation you're in. And anyways, people are blowing up the chat here, and I haven't even read any of these.
I can't see any of them.
Yeah, it's you have to be on a computer to see kind of the stream.
Oh.
Let's see. Let's see. I'll just pop these up here. Hold on.
I'm curious what they're saying.
Yeah, let's see. So going back to, wow, there's a bunch of them here. So remember that person said that they saw a male or whatever.
Yeah, the blonde sitting in the corner.
Yeah. And then this is kind of the dialogue that they started having here. So Woody, are you saying you did DMT or mescaline?
Yeah, lots of it.
Are you saying that? Are you asking the question? Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that you had any experience like that. Woody is always on the chats and stuff, so I get to talk to him quite frequently. Let's see, and then didn't seem like I knew. I'm just going to pop these up in the order that they came up here. And then there's this one, everybody. If anybody wants to get on the stream, just click on the link and come on in, and we can just chat it up about your experience. I want to hear more about what you guys went through
Absolutely.
too. Let's see. Yeah, Woody's in Australia.
Hooded in black. Wait, figures I have it hooded black. Is that scary? Is that scary? I mean, it sounds scary.
Yeah, I think that they're responding on the bottom of the thread here. Did Sylvia only one time saw tunnels within the tunnels? Oh my gosh. Some of this stuff just sounds like so crazy.
It is crazy. All of it is crazy.
It was beautiful and daunting all at the same time.
Yeah. It's very overwhelming when you see stuff like that. I mean, it's so intense.
So going into it, was really excited about Sylvia. I thought I would do it a lot, but doing it was so exhausting. I never wanted to do it again.
Yeah, it is exhausting.
Yeah,
it takes so much out of you.
In fact, a lot of people that I have listened to said that they got a lot out of what they went through, and they didn't want to do it again, but then ended up doing it again later.
Yeah, but it's not like, like an opiate or marijuana. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, it's not addictive in that sense, right?
Salvia with nuts.
I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is. I was calling it Sylvia. I'm so sheltered.
He turned into a supermarket. That's interesting.
Never again. I can see why you would never want to be a supermarket again.
Yeah, so I have a question for them.
Yeah.
Like, so DMT, is all the rest of them different than DMT? Like the salvia and the mescaline? Or is it?
I wonder that too.
Loving spiritual experiences on it?
Yeah, like Woody, you were saying you tried mescaline and DMT also. Couldn't feel my thoughts. Instead, I saw it displayed on it.
That's awesome. Displayed on the ingredient indication between the aisles.
Oh, your thoughts were the ingredients in the aisles?
That's awesome.
The experience was good, but it was scary at the same time in the way that was hard to convey in words. Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the thing about DMT is it lasts for 15 minutes. So that's pretty good.
yeah, that's one aspect about DMT that I'm excited to
Is that
potentially.
salvia?
Yeah.
The salvia that's the supermarket. Okay, yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
some crazy stuff.
Instead of feeling confused, I heard he's confused. You can hear thoughts over the loudspeaker now.
Was it your voice on the loudspeaker or was it?
Here, I'm just kind of reading through these.
He says I understand.
And then lasted forever. See, that's the other thing that I've been noticing is that people say there's no sense of time. It feels like it lasted forever, but then 15 minutes later, I'm back.
Well, no, but he's not talking about DMT.
Oh, salvia?
I don't think he is. Or is he? No, he's not. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, let's see here. I get the other guy said. Oh, that is so weird. Here, I'm just gonna skip over a couple of these here.
You know, and I think it's cool about shamans. If you ask them how do they figure out that the one tree that you can mix with the other plant and get the ayahuasca, you ask them how they figure that out, and they say, well, the spirits, duh. The DMT spirits told us.
Yeah. So Steven says, I'm in the same place with NDEs. I really look to Mr. Storm's guidance. Yeah. That guy is really friendly, and he was super flexible to freaking meet with me. And I actually, he's out in Kentucky. Yeah. Let's see. It was so weird. She was narrating my thoughts exactly.
It's like a cloud.
Related thoughts and topics.
That is so deep. Like, how long did that last? Because I would not want to experience that very long.
Oh yeah, Woody answered the question. He said, "Yep, use both." And used to be. You're still a hippie, Woody.
How old are you? You look young.
In your picture, you look like you're probably in your 30s. But I don't know.
Yeah, early 30s.
Let's see. Not scary to see the figures. Got transported to the center of the earth where black figure were pressing. Oh my gosh.
So could you tell like this was an could you tell that was a hallucination? Like, because I could tell that when I experienced the three beams of light, that was not a hallucination. Like, that was really happening to me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You got sucked into sacred geometry.
Oh, I love it. That's cool.
Woody's 34.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways.
That was happening.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, that leads me to ask this question: is these DMT experiences? You know, a lot of the near-death experience, people say that reality is more real than this reality. So, like so you had a more surreal, like amplified experience of reality when you had DMT. Like it's more real.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's parts of it that's like a cartoonish type. But like when I was saying that the male, when I was looking at the brain of some sort, that thing, and I was having a communication with a higher being.
Yeah.
He was so clearly talking, like that is an example of more real. Like everything was just so clear and precise. Like we don't have that kind of communication here. So that's an example of it being realer than real, I guess.
More real than real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not the guy that could like say, yeah, I know what you're saying.
No.
Because I have no freaking clue. I'm just, I'm like my big thing is I'm just trying to find patterns, and you know, if you can kind of shine light on something that I don't understand, that is ultimately what I'm trying to achieve in all of this.
I like where you're
And
taking it. That's cool.
yeah, and unfortunately, you know, I see that I lose subscribers sometimes, and I think a lot of it has to do with I'm not appealing to their belief system well enough or something, because, you know, you know, a lot of people. So again, I come from a Christian background. Oh my gosh, and everybody in that philosophy will say we have the truth and we need to go spread the truth to everybody else, and that's kind of how most religions are, is they say we have the truth and we need to spread it to everybody else. And so who's right? I think that everybody has a piece of the pie. Everybody has a little bit of the truth, and I think that we need to unravel the mysteries. We need to unpack a lot of this freaking crap. Yeah. We need to, you know, anybody that says I believe I have the truth and everybody else is deceived, I think that they're the ones that are somehow lost, because and it's hard for me to say that, because I literally feel like I'm burning my foundation. I'm putting my foundation through the fire, because, you know, it has to hold up the scrutiny if it's true.
Yeah.
And
that's healthy. That's a good way to end this.
Yeah.
That's a good note.
Yeah, and you're up late. I realize that you're yeah, I mean,
yeah.
we could keep spinning our wheels on this. And
yeah, my son was like, y'all gonna be on for 2.5 hours? I'm like, 2 hours? But that's literally, well, we've been on for 2 hours.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
I said, oh, it'll go by fast. Yeah. But no, that's a good thing. And you know, if you lose some subscribers, you'll gain subscribers too. You know, this is,
if anybody's willing,
in a good way.
If anybody's willing to join me on my journey, I mean, that's kind of my thing is I'm contemplating the cosmos. That's my tag. It's my tag now. I'm freaking using it. So anyways, Anna, I appreciate everything that you're willing to put out there, and Woody and Steven and Roger Roulette. all the guys that decided to jump on the chat, I really appreciate everything.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
And anybody who comes back and listens to this later, I mean, I appreciate you listening to this too. And if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up on this video. I need to get the word out there.
Oh my God.
So if you ever anybody else that has questions, feel free to leave messages in the comments below. So anyways, thanks, Anna. I appreciate everything. And did you have anything else?
Stay safe. Nope.
All right.
Blast. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, have a good one.
Bye, everybody.
Okay. All right. Bye.